Hi, welcome back to my channel. It's Perry here, bringing you episode 4, I believe. I do want to apologise for having a completely irregular upload schedule and not having any sort of structure to what I'm uploading. This episode is kind of just me having a conversation with myself, processing my thoughts. It's kind of like a filler episode. I'm not really sure what I wanted to talk about, but I just felt like coming on here and talking about something and uploading something. So here goes. And yeah, as always, I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope we're able to continue the conversation in the comments below. Or if you're uncomfortable with commenting in the comment section, you can always DM me on Instagram, or if you know me personally, then message me personally. But yeah, something that I've always kind of wanted to talk about with members of my family or people who've kind of directly impacted my mental health is this whole idea of speaking out of compassion and what it looks like to be compassionate towards one another. For some reason, I feel as though a lot of people don't know what compassion looks like. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect and that I'm always compassionate towards other people and that I'm always kind, because I'm not. But I feel as though not enough people try hard enough, especially within the Tamil community. A lot of people think that they are speaking out of compassion, but it's not. And there's a simple rule that I learned. I don't even know if this is a good rule to follow, but it makes sense to me. If you want to comment on someone's appearance or on what they look like or whatever, if it's something that they can't change within the next 10-15 minutes, then don't bother saying anything at all. And the whole idea of if you don't have something kind to say, then don't say anything at all. And so the whole concept of not saying something if they can't change it in the next 10 to 15 minutes comes from, so say you wanted to comment on someone's weight, they can't change that in the next 10 to 15 minutes, so don't comment on it. However, if you've been eating a kale salad with someone and they happen to have kale stuck in between their teeth, you can comment on it because they can go to the loo and remove the kale from their teeth. So that seems quite simple, right? But for some reason, within the Tamil community, people feel like they can comment on anything and everything. And sometimes, I don't know if they're doing it on purpose or if it's coming, what kind of place it's coming from. Is it coming from a place of jealousy? Is this all that they've known? Obviously, this isn't something that's specific to Tamil community. All communities, have similar experiences, but the Tamil community is what I grew up in, and that's what I know about. So those are the experiences that I'll share. But, that's not to say that someone from a different cultural background isn't going to be able to relate to it. You probably are going to be able to relate to it. So just bear that in mind whilst I'm speaking. But yeah, so growing up, I had a lot of people comment on my acne. My acne was the worst thing that people would comment on. I've had people say some really weird things about my acne, especially I had an auntie say to me something about how God made sure that her daughter didn't have any acne, and it was made to seem like because I'd done something bad in my past life, or because God didn't like me, that's why I had acne, or something really ridiculous like that. I've had people comment on my grey hairs. I've had people comment on my weight. I've had people just pretty much comment on every aspect of someone you can think of, like, right? And then people ask me, why do you have such bad self-esteem, or why are you so low in your confidence? And I'm thinking, if you kind of knew the things that I had heard whilst I was growing up, you'd probably understand why I'm not confident in myself, and why I'm not able to appreciate myself enough. Like, I'm always downplaying my achievements. I'm always undermining myself as a person. And I've been thinking about this a lot because I don't want to be that kind of person anymore. I've said before that I don't want to be the kind of person that throws themselves a pity party constantly. I want to change the way that I talk about myself, and I want to change the way that I view myself, especially because it really affected my adult life. Like I've been an adult for like 2 minutes, and it's already affected it really badly, right? Especially in terms of when I was at university. I had I don't know, because I'm not obviously an expert, but I have a feeling that I had imposter syndrome. I didn't feel like I belonged there, and I didn't feel like I was smart enough to be there. So I feel like I was already questioning my ability to kind of meet the standards and do well enough in exams and things. Eventually I passed and everything, but I didn't end up with the grade that I wanted, or I knew that I was capable of, because I allowed a lot of different things and a lot of different people to kind of influence my mental well-being. And I don't want that to continue to affect my adult life, especially because I have huge milestones coming up, and there's going to be loads of interviews happening, and looking for a job. And in terms of the kind of career that I want to go into as well, if I'm not able to, like I said in the last episode, you can only give and receive the love that you have for yourself. And if I can't love myself, then I can't help others heal and learn to love themselves either, right? And I can't fully love the people around me, because you can only give and receive the love that you have for yourself. So that is something that I'm really thinking about and I'm working on. But whilst I'm thinking about it, I'm also thinking about how there are so many other people who have been in similar situations, who've probably been affected in a similar way. And, we all have different experiences, and things are going to affect us differently. Someone who grew up in the same environment as me may have reacted to it differently. It might not have impacted them as much as it impacted me, but it did impact me. And, you might have not had similar experiences, but you may still have those negative voices haunting you. So I really want to talk about it more openly, how within the Tamil community, and obviously in other communities as well, how people aren't so accepting of other people. There's these backhanded comments, and people thinking that they can comment on anything and everything about someone. There's no consideration of someone's mental health, or what they might be going through, or how many times they may have already heard that day. And they don't see it as a type of bullying, but it is. You should never make someone feel anything less than what they are. But loads of people have no problem in doing that. They will make people feel as, like, without even realizing. I've probably done it so many times as well, where you comment on things that people can't change about themselves, whether it be physically, mentally, emotionally, and you're constantly bringing them down, but you don't realize how much you're bringing them down. And it's like, why do you care so much what someone looks like? Why do people care so much about how people look? To me, it makes no sense. But other people seem to fixate on things like that. And I always think, why? Or like, where is this coming from? Where does it stem from? When I was thinking about these questions and talking about them and sharing my experiences, something that I realised, I was shuffling some cards as well. I said this wasn't going to include any tarot or oracle cards, but I was, because I wanted some answers, I was shuffling the Goddess Power Oracle cards. It's a new deck that I have, and I've absolutely been loving it. And the card that kept coming out for me, or the card that kept falling out for me, was the Forgiveness card, represented by a Celtic goddess, Branwen. And it was just about learning to take accountability for your actions, and forgiving others, not just for them but for you as well, and taking back that power. So when you forgive someone, you are holding yourself accountable for that action, and you're allowing yourself to take control of that emotion and the sort of impact you're allowing them to have on you. So I was thinking about it, I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense to me now, because like when it first fell out a couple of times, I was like, oh, this isn't working, this isn't the card that I was expecting. But the forgiveness card makes a lot of sense, changing the narrative. Instead of seeing it as from a perspective of them being bad people that need to change, see it from a perspective of you having the power to change yourself and change the way that you allow them to impact you. You can't expect your healing to rely on other people changing, because that's not going to work. People aren't going to change on your accord or, on your timeline. They're going to change in their own time and, in their own way, in their own journey when they're ready to. So you're having your healing relying on other people changing is really bad for you, in the sense that you don't have that release, you don't have that empowerment, you're not independent in the way that you heal. And that's a really hard thing to do, because for me especially, my whole life, my whole narrative has been about how those people were mean to me, so I have low self-esteem and low confidence. They were mean to me, so I don't like them anymore and I don't want to be in a room with them anymore. Sometimes people don't even realize that they've been horrible to other people. For them it's normal, and it's coming from a place of compassion. We've seen it so many times with the body positivity thing, where people have literally commented really nasty, horrible comments on people's pictures about their weight, saying that, oh, but it's coming from a place of goodness because we just worry about their health. But really, do you really care about their health? Are you looking at the science, kind of thing? And that's the same thing with them. People who've been mean to you, they might not realize, and even if they do realize that they've been mean to you and they still carry on with that behavior, then there's something that they need to work on, right? There's something wrong with them that they need to work on. And it's not your job to fix other people or to tell them what they need to work on. I mean, obviously you can provide constructive criticism. You can try to have that conversation with them and try to help them see and understand. But most of the time people aren't ready, and when you're working on your own healing journey, it can be really exhausting, and trying to have that conversation with someone else who's not ready can be even more frustrating and even more exhausting and set you back. So it's really about having those boundaries and seeing where you can make those changes and where you can have those conversations, but also where you just need to say no to them, keep a distance and kind of just work on yourself and work on what you need right now. And that's what I'm doing right now. Well, I'm trying to do. I've realised that I'm actually quite bad at the whole boundaries thing. I'm looking into it, but it's really hard to keep and maintain boundaries, especially when the ties are so close, right? And especially when people don't understand boundaries. I feel like, especially within the Tamil community, there's no concept of boundaries, right? People don't understand when you say you can't go to a place or you can't do something, that where it's coming from. And for them, it's kind of like everything is taken so personally as well. So yeah, it's something that I'm working on as well, respecting other people's boundaries and knowing when they want to distance themselves from me as well. The idea that sometimes we are the bad people in other people's stories, so they feel a need to distance them from us, and I need to be able to respect that as well. So recognizing when they need that space is what I mean to say. And so yeah, there's little things within this whole conversation that I wanted to have in terms of mental health as well. A lot of Tamil people don't understand what mental well-being is about and the difference between mental well-being and mental ill health. And so there's this whole concept, this whole idea that, you mention the word mental and they kind of, or they're thinking asylums, and they're thinking the first word, unfortunately, that comes to their head is crazy. And, they kind of cluster all of the mental illnesses into one group. So depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, everything looks the same to them because of what they've been portrayed in the media, possibly. And there's no open conversation about seeking help for, say, depression or anxiety, or understanding how they can emotionally support their children from a young age. I've heard so many times, not just from the generation before me, but within my own generation. And as a kid, I probably said it so many times as well. This whole concept of boys not crying, and you only cry if you're a girl, and also this whole idea that men should drink to help cope with their emotions, but women shouldn't drink, and women should stay strong and lead the family, but also they can't really have any financial responsibilities or their own, independence, because they got to do whatever their husband says. None of it makes sense. Stick to one narrative. There's a lot of confusion about, not just confusion, but like none of it makes sense. And it doesn't make sense to say some of the things that people continue to say. They're like, oh, you have to respect our culture and our tradition, but that is not your culture, that is not your tradition. And there's a lot of things that have changed, but there's more change that needs to happen. And that the only way that change is allowed, or the only way that that change can take place, is if we have those conversations, but no one's willing to have those conversations. It's kind of like a taboo topic when we talk about mental health, or when we talk about anything to do with male and female roles within the Tamil community. I feel like I've kind of gone on a tangent and like spoken about loads of different concepts, but not really made sense of any. So if you're not following, I apologize. This is kind of like a brain fart. I don't know what I'm trying to say. When you just kind of get everything that you're thinking out. That's what I'm trying to do, essentially. But yeah, there's so many things that I want to talk about and have conversations with either my friends, family, or both. In English and in Tamil as well, just because it's concepts that needs to be understood in both languages, and also in terms of finding people that are comfortable enough in terms of speaking about them. I know that I don't have the right vocabulary just yet to speak about most of these concepts in Tamil, but there are loads of different resources out there and loads of different influencers and YouTubers who do speak about mental health and several different difficult topics in Tamil. I will be trying to share them, or their videos, in future episodes. And yeah, I don't really know what else I wanted to talk about, really. And I don't even know if I spoke about everything I wanted to talk about, or how I wanted to speak about it. I hope all of this kind of made sense to you and was easy enough to follow. It's kind of, if you know me, then my mind is just very confusing. I have no idea what's going on in there, especially recently. So this goes back into kind of spiritual talk. But recently, I think I've been having some sort of spiritual, I don't know, either a spiritual block or a spiritual, I don't want to say awakening, but like something like a spiritual growth, because I feel a shift in my energy. I feel a change. I do feel kind of nervous, like all the time, but sometimes that nervous energy feels different. So yeah, right now I feel, or I sense a shift in my energy, and I'm not quite sure what that's down to. So that's interesting stuff. That's also something that I'm trying to figure out. So yeah, there's a lot happening not a lot happened in my life, but I'm relatively busier now, so I think that's kind of helping. And I also wanted to share that my main goal for this, so I think in terms of academic years, so an academic year goes from September to August, and my main goal for this academic year is to work on my mental health, work on my mental well-being, and keeping it stable and keeping it relatively in a good place. Keeping that motivation up, wanting to kind of actively do the work to better myself, and also in the sense of learning to love myself again. That's my biggest thing that I'm working on, the whole self-love aspect of my healing journey, just because it's something that's really affected a lot of different aspects of my life. And yeah, anyway, it was fun speaking to you all, and I hope you were able to enjoy this episode. I will see you / speak to you soon enough, and hopefully have an actual real episode. And thanks for sticking through this episode. I think a lot of it was just waffle and ramble. But if you picked out a few good bits, or if you happen to enjoy it, do let me know. I can't remember if I mentioned earlier, but I do want to be able to continue the conversations in the comments section below. Or if you know me personally, then you can always DM me on Instagram or private message me on any of the other various social media apps. And yeah. Anything else that I want to share? Anything else anyone else wants to share? Nope, all good. Bye. Hi, sorry, me again. Sort of had an afterthought whilst I was kind of listening to the rest of the episode. Yeah, the rest of the episode is a bit just weird. I don't know what I was trying to say or what message I'm trying to share with you, but if you made it up to this far, thank you very much, and congratulations for making it out alive. I do just want to add that something else that has really been resonating with me recently is this idea of learning to live your life for yourself and trying not to think about what others think of you. It's really hard to do, and I am trying to actively implement it into my life, but I thought I'd just share that with you. And I think it's also something that needs to be shared within the Tamil community more. I feel like a lot of people live their life for other people and feel as though they have to explain every action and every decision that they make to those around them, but you do not have to do that. And learning to live your life for yourself is really empowering and definitely something that I am working on. So just thought I'd share that with you. So yeah, thanks again for staying this long, and now I will officially sign off and say goodbye. Have a great week or weekend, depending on when you're listening to this. And until next time, bye.